Hey, it is Tom from GameDay Squad's Footy Fantasy Show. I'm your host and I'm accompanied today by Callum as always, and we are missing our pivotal member in Kerm. But Callum, you are wearing some different colours today for the first time this season. I think we all need an explanation.
You like it?
Going on there? I love it personally, but what's going on?
I'm wearing it just for you. Hello, everyone. I'm here and I'm in my Swans colours because I've officially given up on Port season. They're admirable to come back from 0-5 start, but the loss is just too much for us now, even with Richmond bottling it. So I still want to have some joy for the rest of the year. So I've thrown this on in the hopes that maybe I can jump on the bandwagon and we might get a few wins together, Tom. Go deep in the finals series. So Heaney's my favourite player now. Papley's the best forward in the comp. I'm ready for it.
Mate, and like a true Swans fan, well spoken. Clearly, you've had some practice at this, haven't you? But how we normally start off this show, we're going to get into the round of 18 and review everything that happened. There were so many good performances over the weekend. So we're going to go through our studs, our duds, and our dynasty review on a couple of players. But Callum, we're going to do this a little bit differently this week. Instead of me talking, you talking, let's throw it back and forth. Let's see how our studs and duds compare up against each other. But let me kick it off with the stud, and I'll throw it to you next. And my first stud that I'm going to nominate for the round is midfielder Rory Laird from the Adelaide Crows, who finished this game with 182 GameDay Squad fantasy points. And with Brayshaw's monster game last week, Rory Laird clearly took this very personally. He is neck and neck for AFL Fantasy's MVP for the year. And he did this by smashing a record, getting 20 completed tackles in a game. This is one of the best single performances I have ever witnessed. But unfortunately, it wasn't even enough to get the Crows over the line. Callum, let me throw it over to you. Who is your first nominated dud of the round?
Before we get into that, I just wanted to shout out a comment that Kerm had. He said he didn't think he'd laid 20 tackles in his whole footy career, let alone in a game. So that's, mighty impressive from Laird. For me, my first dud, I'm going to give you who I had as my third dud. So I'll put it the bronze medal, if you will. I'm going to give it to Lance Franklin. So our boy, I should say. He's been in the media all week asking for the bag. He came out and he only got 46 GDS points, which is almost half his actual average for the season. Now, he's not a traditional fantasy player. However, if you do have a platinum or a diamond version, then you probably still are thinking about playing him, and you still would have been quite disappointed in GDS with his output. So only 5 kicks for the game. Swans didn't need him in that awesome win the other day. But bronze medal dud for me.
You know what? I agree with you. You know, us Swans fans, we've got to stick together. Yeah, he just hasn't been that impressive. I feel like his head's elsewhere right now, trying to work out a lot of other things off the field. But let me get into my second start of the round. And I'm doing it the opposite. I'm starting from the top and working down. Ooh. And the next best player this round for me is Nick Dacos, a midfielder from the Magpies, who had 181 GameDay Squad fantasy points, only 1 point behind Rory Laird. And Rory Laird might have had the single best performance in this game, but Dacos single-handedly willed the Pies to a really narrow win against the Crows. As I mentioned, 181 GameDay Squad fantasy points. His 2 most notable stats throughout this game are 40 disposals and 3 goals. So if he was in real estate, he is the hottest property right now on the market. Who else do you want other than Nick Dacos, one-of-one legend? Mate, there is no one else in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a hot take, and I'd have to agree with you at the moment. He's looking very, very good. Awesome for the Pies. They just keep winning. They just keep all these close games. They keep having. They keep winning. So, shout out to Dacos because he is running away. He's got the length of the Flemington straight for the lead for the Rising Star this year. No one's catching him. Silver medal. I'm going to give it to Bradley Hill. Now, this is a guy that averages over 90 points, but against the Dogs the other night, he showed up with 38 and was just awful. It was an awful game of footy to watch. I hate when the Dogs are on Friday night because they either get blown out or they blow someone out. Real disappointing all round. And Bradley Hill was the poster boy for that really poor Saints performance. So he's going to get my silver medal. But what about yourself? You got another stud to throw me?
I sure do, and that is not the silver medal that you want to get in this show, unfortunately, so unlucky. But my final one here is going to be a defender from the Saints, and it's Jack Sinclair. He finished this round off with 175 Game Day Squad fantasy points. And when this season finishes up, Jack Sinclair will be Game Day Squad's best defender for the year of 2022. His two most notable stats in this game were 27 kicks and 11 marks. Another stellar game for one of the AFL's true rising stars.
Yeah, I like that one. Someone who is not heading in the rising star direction at the moment is Tom Green, who takes out my gold medal for stud of the week. Could have given it to Bradley Hill, but extra salty with Tom Green because he was in my fantasy team this week. I had the platinum version of him sitting there. He averages over 100 points, but he only scored 50 points in an awful display by the Giants. Who, have just had a season they want to forget, and they can't wait for that end to come soon enough. So, there's a few Giants players that, normally you'd start the year with a bit of confidence, but just the way they're looking at the moment, I just don't trust them, and I don't know if Tom will be in my team next week, even with how good he's been. So, gold medal for him might be the last time that you see him on my team sheet.
Yeah, wow. And that's going to wrap us our studs and duds. Guys, let us know which list was better, the studs or the duds, down below in the comments. And flick it over to the rookie watch because Hawthorn seemed to dominate this segment as of recent. Kerm's put this list together for us of the most notable rookies that are popping off in the round of 18. And of course, Dacos is there. We've spoken about how good he has been. How can he not? We got Newcomb, Ward, and then Nick Martin, my guy. It's good to see him back in that list because he's been absent for a couple of weeks, which has been a surprise. There's been some other Essendon players, but there are so many good young players in the league right now. The league is truly in some really good hands.
Yeah, couldn't agree with more with Kerm's picks there. I'll touch on Newcomb because I get into Ward a little bit later, but he's just been awesome. For a player to come out of the rookie draft, mid-season draft and be that good, yeah, really, really awesome to see. It's awesome to see that mid-season draft isn't just a top-up for the now, but it's also teams looking ahead for the future, and it does benefit people like him and Marlon Pickett, who ended up playing a grand final and winning in it when he was picked up as well. So yeah, nice little list to be on there at the moment. Better than being on my dad's list.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You said that perfectly. But we're going to get into a segment which we tried out last week and it's new onto the review show. I'm super pumped for it. It's called the Player Radar. And what we do is we touch on a couple of players, give our insight into them, their maybe fantasy production moving forward. And I'm going to start it off this week with someone a little bit outside the box. It is Harry Himmelberg from the GWS Giants. Now, this is a player we need to talk about. And since GWS have shaken things up in Western Sydney, Harry Himmelberg is a player whose production has seen significant increase since all this moves. This is largely due to the coach's decision to play Himmelberg as a defender, providing run off the halfback. Now, this is drastically different from the role that Himmelberg had as a key forward at the start of this season. In his first 10 games of the season, Harry was unable to crack triple-digit scoring in a single one. But since then, in his past 7 games, he has completed this feat 4 times. I love the coach's decision to make this change, but as a fantasy manager, Himmelberg's stock is on the up and flying through the roof at the moment. I would love to play him in my team as a key forward right now.
Yeah, I like it. I like it for him and what he's been able to do to turn this season around, but for 2 reasons. I don't like him. Number one, because I'm a Swans fan now and we've got to hate the Giants. And secondly, because I just can't trust the Giants. I know he's been informed, but like I said before, they're going to suck. I'm just not going near them. But hey, he's a good one on your radar. I'll give you someone, though. I'll give you someone that I've wanted to talk about for a fair bit, but he's been away injured and he's just come back. Blake Acres. Remember him for Freo? Career best form this year.
Yeah.
He was killing it. He was averaging over 100 points and then missed 4 weeks, and he's just had his first game back against our Swans on the weekend. 67 points was a poor start. But hey, he's got a bit of time, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. He's on my radar that I'm going to be looking at and say, hey, for that last 3 games of the season, will he be in my team? Because I've got a Blake Acres card. So yeah, very much hoping that he can push out a big performance, and I'll be back on the Blake Acres train.
Yeah, love that. Let me get into my next player because we've touched on him a little bit already. It is Nick Dacos, and he's for certain my most desired one-of-one legend card in Game Day Squad Fantasy, and that is the ever-burning question for our fantasy platform, is whose one-of-one card would you prefer more out of the entire league? And I've finally come to my senses and made the decision that that player is Nick Dacos. Callum, first of all, do you agree with that?
It's a big call. Listen, you could go worse with picking. You could have made a howler there, but no, he's not bad. He'd be in my top 5. I still would want my Bailey Smith and my Walsh and my Brayshaw, just because I've seen those guys at only a year or two older do it for so long. Nah, I'm never gonna let go of those guys. But yeah, until he joins that camp, not quite yet. But I'll get on to my second player because he can join the camp of this guy, and that's Chad Warner. And I know you spoke about him last week, and I missed out on that, but I wanted to jump on and have a bit of a chat about him because I'm not saying he's in that tier 1 of guns of the players I've just mentioned, but he, and you can throw Dacos in there, they're in tier 2 and they're knocking on the door right now. This guy, Chad Warner, has only just turned 21. Like only a month ago, he's just turned 21. And what I love about him is he plays his best when he needs to. So he plays his best against the big teams. He keeps getting better, and he's in a midfield that is going to be dominant over the next 5 years. So everything dynasty-wise is just pointing to this guy being a star. So he's on my radar. He'd be one of the first players I think I'd actually go out and actively try and buy on the transfer market when that comes towards the end of the year. So can't wait for our platform to have that, and I can't wait to get my hands on a nice Chad Warner.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that call. And the best thing about Dacos and Warner is they are players who truly have untapped potential. And the trajectory of their career is a really scary thought for other players in the AFL. For how good they are and how young they are both, that is really, really scary. And as I said before, the league is in such good hands. But I want to get into my third player here of Tom Liberatore. And I had serious concerns and doubts about Libba's production with the inclusion of Bailey Smith back into the lineup for the Bulldogs. We all know how much of a ball magnet and chick magnet he is for that sense, but he is just an absolute stud.
Sorry, I was gonna make a comment there, and I was like, no, we're recording. I will not say what I was thinking of saying, but please continue. That's a good one because that midfield, there's a lot of people in that team that eat, and eventually, someone's going to miss out from time to time. So, yeah. Good one.
Yeah, exactly. But Libba came out 31 disposals, 19 of those being handballs. So if he can convert more of those handballs into kicks in the next coming weeks, he's going to be a legitimate fantasy option moving forward. But as a Tom Liberatore owner, you definitely have to have some newfound confidence because, he played really well in a really stacked Bulldogs midfield. So, yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Libba.
Yeah, nice. He's on your radar. I don't think Libba would probably be on mine. He'd have to be in some form for me to ever put him on mine. But no, fair enough. Back your pick. Do you have another one? I've only had Warner and Akers to throw at you this week. Do you have someone else that you want to throw at me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, mate. I do have one more player, and we touched him again.
Hit me.
I'm going for a lot of the top players. It is Jack Sinclair from the Saints because the Saints have had a really shaky year this year, and he has not been one of the players who has had a shaky season. Do you want to get into Sinclair, and would he get a role on your team?
Well, I was just going to say, I can see why everyone's on your radar because you've all been studs. You've doubled up on your homework. Nice and easy. Would he be on my radar? Yeah, he's a stud. He's in the top 6 defenders at the moment. You'd be silly not to want him in your team now. Yes, we're a dynasty platform, but you don't, eventually you got to actually start winning some games, and he's a person that'll start winning your games as of today. So, yeah, no, I'd definitely have him in my team.
All right, let's get into the next part of the show here where we do some self-reflection and some reviews of our team's performance on Game Day Squad in the round of 18. Callum, do you want to get us started with this? I want to hear about how your team went.
Yeah, so the Peanut Butters this week, we actually had a good round. We finished 7th in the open competition on 2,319 points, which I was stoked about. I did have a few duds in my team, i.e. Green, that I mentioned there before. So it was good to still get myself across the line. I went heavy with the Lions in the forward line, paid dividends, all those guys were eating. So yeah, happy with 7th. I'm sitting 10th overall at the moment, so I'm on that leaderboard. It's nice there. It's not, I don't have to, it's there for the world to see. And that's my goal. I just want to keep getting on those leaderboards, keep getting those prizes. So, yeah, good for me. How did you go?
Before we get into mine, let's get into Kerm's because he's got his stuff there. Kerm in round three had 2,490 points in the open competition, of course, going head to head with Callum there. He finished fourth, which is his worst ranking of the year so far, which is absurd. Absolutely
His
absurd.
team's
He has been on a
stacked.
dominant streak here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see it there in front of you guys. Look at the players, the quality is just all like amazing all across the board there. But let's get into my team because, as you know, you guys are in the open comp. I'm in the capped comp. I have to do things a little bit differently. But the Zeus Cannons this week in round three scored 1,973 points, which was enough to get us fifth ranked for the week, which is what we got last week as well. My seasonal rank is staying the same at third. I'm extremely happy about most of my team's performance. I'm stoked with another top 10 finish, of course, but I'm trying to hunt a top three finish again. And I'll tell you what, my team has some work to catch up to the teams who are on top of me, who are easily getting to 2,000 points per week. So, look, I'm going to make some big changes in the preview show, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to change up my fantasy strategy a little bit, and we'll see how it's going to go and how it's going to work out. So I'm super excited to bring that to you guys in the next show. But for now, we're pretty happy. We're doing quite well. So no complaints from me, Callum.
Yeah, I love that you want to change things completely or blow it up, and you're sitting third at the moment. Yeah, I guess you want that top, hey? Not going to settle unless it's first. So yeah, I'm keen to see how it goes. Hopefully you don't go backwards. That'll be funny to watch if it does. But nah, fingers crossed for your sake.
You know, mate, sometimes in life you need to go backwards to go forwards and do a little bit of experimentation. And that is exactly my approach, or that is exactly my approach for the next couple of weeks. So I'm pretty excited for it. But let's get into our last segment here on the show today, where we do some self-reflection on some things that we nailed and we got right during the round, but also some things where we fumbled the bag and got them completely wrong. Callum, I want to hear what yours were first for this round. Take me through them.
Yeah, so mine came to me quite easy this week because on Friday I actually posted out to Twitter. I was unsure if I would have gone with CJ or Witherden in my back six spot. So Witherden, his first game in I think a month and a half or 2 months. So risky picking him, but I did pick him, and he went for 128 points, and I was just over the moon with that. CJ scored 92, so not terrible. If I would have been okay with that as a defender six, but yeah, really happy when those 50-50 calls work out and got me a few extra points there. So yeah, both were platinums, and yeah, happy with that one.
I'm about Witherden this year, man. So great call there.
With what I got wrong, I've taken a seasonal view of this, but I've made it something relevant for this week. And I told you at the start of the year, Josh Ward will win a Rising Star. And while I was obviously wrong about that, we've just spoken about how good Dacos was. This was the first week where we actually looked at Ward and went, right, that is the number 7 draft pick that the Hawks picked up. That's the player who we thought we were getting for the whole year. And it's a little bit of, hey, I got it right. If he can keep it going, shows the potential there, but it's also how badly I got it wrong with Dacos and the performance he put out. Because as good as Ward was, Dacos was better, and that's the best. That's the best by far Ward's been all year, and that's definitely Dacos' best. But it's not like that sort of performance hasn't been coming with some of his games. So yeah, that's the one I've got wrong for the year, I'll say.
Yeah, I guess, look, Ward is a really good player, but his best is, top 20% of the league, but Dacos' best is within the top 1% of the league of players. He is just on another level. So what did I get right for the round of 18? I got right my comments about Rory Laird last week, about him being one of the best assets in fantasy right now, and I needed to get him in my team. I needed to do everything I could. I would move a mountain for this guy if it was possible. And if he's not getting it done through kicks and handballs, he's going out there and breaking an AFL record for you. So I love what I'm seeing from Laird over the past couple of weeks. I'm so glad that he is now in my team. And that is something that was very easy to nail on the head. But fortunately, I have nailed on the head for the round of 18. But let's go into something that I got wrong for the round. And I have to keep looking at a particular card sitting on my bench in my club at the Zeus Cannons. And that is a Platinum Zach Merritt. Something must change. His form is just too hard to ignore over the past couple of weeks. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I need to find a way to get him into my squad in the year of 2022. I'm going to have to go deep in my bag, going to have to see what I can muster up at the club. But yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm going to make some radical changes. So check out our next preview show for the round of 19 on Thursday to see if I can get Zach Merritt into my starting lineup or not.
I love that. I know you have been sitting there staring at it for quite some time. I also know you are on the cap at the moment. You are 12 million and you're not a dollar over it. So, which means you're going to have to, like you said, go backwards somewhere to go forward with him. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how you do it.
Yeah, mate, you took the words right out of my mouth. That is exactly what I have to do. But Callum, I think that is going to wrap us up there for another episode of the Footy Game Day Squad review show, the round of 18. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for checking in with us today. And if you've made it this far into the video, please do us a favor, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you can check out all of our other content. We're uploading 2 videos weekly, doing fantasy reviews, previews for you. Callum, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with today?
No, only that Isaac Heaney is the best player in the comp and no one can change my mind. Go the Swans.
Thanks, guys. And remember to stay game day ready.